We're almost, I know we're almost live. We're nearly, there we go. Good evening, everybody. Yes, here we are. Oh, it's been a little while. Excuse me, I've got an itchy nose now. That means I'm going to be vexed. Somebody asked me the other day, what does it mean when you say you're going to be vexed? It means you're going to be angry, irritated. And that's anyway, but not that I am that now. So good evening, everybody. We have, yes, off the cuff. We are here again with our off the cuff stuff. And before I go any further, I'd like to say hello to Grey Eagle, who is, as always, is standing to my right side. And Chris, is there anybody there? Chris, are you there?
Woo! Yes, I am. I'm here. Hello. Yes, people are logging on. Hi, everyone.
Well, you know that it's October. And this month, we decided, Chris and I, it's not the royal we, meaning the Queen, and that I'm the Queen. Chris and I decided that what could we celebrate for October better than, of course, the fall foliage, which I'm going to ask Chris about in a minute, because I know she went out for a drive a little while ago, checking that out. So we'll talk about that. Apples, apple pie, my favorite apple crumble, which is my grandson's favorite. What we do with apples is we make a delicious crumble. And what else are we going to be celebrating? Bonfires, and we're going to be celebrating apple picking. But you know what else we're really going to be celebrating? We're going to be celebrating the spooky stuff. The spooky stuff. So last Saturday we had a story time, and I did tell a little bit of a spooky story. However, what we're going to be doing is we have a webinar coming up. It's on the 29th, so that's Friday night. Yes, we usually have it during the day, but it's Friday night at, I think it starts at 7 o'clock, 7 till 9, when I'm going to be telling some spooky ghost stories. And if you guys have spooky ghost stories, if you have questions about spooky stuff, or if you just want to join in and tell a tale, that's what we're going to be doing. If you want to know more, I think we're charging. Unfortunately, we do have to charge you, because the medium that we're using for this, they charge us. So I'm afraid, you have to pay a little bit to do the spooky stuff. Not very much. We thought we'd make it available to anybody and everybody. Are you ready for the spooky stuff? Are you ready for spooky stories? Are you ready for stories that don't really have an answer as to why these things happen? Or do they really happen? Is it our imagination, or is it real? Anyway, spooky. We're doing spooky month this month. And as I've said, if you want to know more about our spooky Halloween Friday night, I know Halloween's on Sunday, but unfortunately we couldn't do Sunday. So we decided we'll start you off on your spooky weekend. Those of you who celebrate Halloween, we'll start you off on your spooky weekend by us having a spooky story time. Chris, are you there?
I am here. And remember, we had said the last time we were on that if anyone had a spooky ghost story, a true one to share, to email it to the office.
That's right. And so if you have, we don't want fiction. We're wanting to hear your spooky stuff. We're wanting to hear, did you have ever a spooky happening? I was talking to a friend of mine last night in England, and she was telling me about her spooky stuff when she was a nurse. She's still a nurse, although she's retired now. But I think nurses and hospitals and doctors seem to be those places where spooky stuff does happen. And so she told me a story which we may relay on Friday. It depends on how many spooky stories we get. But we want true stories from you. So if you have a true spooky story, try not to make I know it's difficult, excuse me, but try not to make it too long, because we want to tell as many spooky stories as we can. And I, of course, I might have a few spooky stories to tell. I bet I do have a few spooky stories to tell. But we'll make them sort of fairly short. So when you're writing to us, try not to, try to keep it as short and as concise as you possibly can, so we can tell it. Or we will give you the opportunity, and you may want to come on. You may either want to come on just as a voice. It could be a disembodied voice. That would be fun. Or you can actually come on camera and tell your own story. So there are these options too. So this is on Friday. If you want to know more about it, please go to our website, rosemaryaltea.com. If you have a spooky story to share, email Chris, Kris, at rosemaryaltea.com. Or if you forget about that, just email me, Rosemary, at rosemaryaltea.com, and tell us your spooky story. And let us know if you want tickets. By the way, almost forgot that part. If you want tickets to this event, again, you can get them on the website very, very easily. $12.50. We're just giving them away, but we want to just have fun. This is really not about us sort of doing anything too deep, and we just thought, why not share? Why not all get together? And if you're going to join us, again, it's 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It's the witching hour in England. It's 12 o'clock. Spooky stuff in England. And so wherever else in the world you are, you have to figure it out. We just thought we'd have an evening sort of around the fire, drinking. You can have hot chocolate if you want. You can have a hot toddy if you want. Does anybody want to know how to make a hot toddy? If you want the recipe for hot toddy, just email me. We'll send it to you. Delicious. My daddy's hot toddy is delicious. Or, you could have a rum and coke or a vodka tonic, or who knows, a few spirits maybe in a glass. Anyway, that's what we're doing on the 29th. Please join us then. And again, if you want to participate, just email us if you've got a spooky story. But remember, it has to be true. Otherwise, we're not going to play, are we? Chris, how was the fall foliage? I know you went out for a drive. How was the fall foliage today?
I think we are just about at peak. I see primarily the colors of red. Obviously, the oranges and the yellows, the golds are mixed in. But when you look at the mountainsides, I drove up through Stowe, Vermont.
Oh, nice.
And that's pretty much what the whole mountainside looked like. It was on fire. It was red.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful. It is really, really beautiful. I remember it well. And yes, and its peak. I mean, any time during this weekend, you could have a little storm, and before you know it, blink and it's all gone. So if you are thinking, all of you leaf peepers, as we call them, if you are thinking of going to take a look at the fall foliage, don't leave it past this weekend, because it's likely to disappear on you overnight. All right, Chris, do we have anybody? Wait. Sorry. Is there anybody there?
We do have folks here, and obviously we know this is the off-the-cuff stuff. So questions that come into the chat room are what drive our conversation and determine how long we stay on.
Yeah.
So I'm not seeing questions coming in yet. I see a lot of hellos.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, so send in your questions now. We're waiting for them.
Yeah, and we sort of off the cuff is basically exactly what it says. Off the cuff means well, there are a couple of reasons why they call it off the cuff. Very often, well-known speakers years and years ago, we don't necessarily. Oh, some people might do it still when they're going to give a speech, or they're going to sort of give an address or something. They would often, the gentleman wearing their shirts with cuffs would often make little notes on the cuff of their sleeve, on the cuff of their shirt or whatever, and then they could, you know, just surreptitiously take a peek at it to see what it was that they were supposed to be talking about. And there were little reminders. So off the cuff, that's one way of looking at it, and that's sort of how this sort of off the cuff stuff started. Sort of impromptu. It means basically impromptu. It means we can talk about anything we want, and it's sort of a quick, you know, let's just do it. We don't have to plan it. We don't have to plan any moves, anything that we're going to talk about. And as Chris said, your questions and your comments drive our off the cuff. So if you want us to keep talking, that basically means that you've got to participate. Because if you're not talking to us, we're just not going to talk to you. Having said that, let me see. What did I make the other day? No, what am I about to make? Let's go to the kitchen just for a second, because we've not done that either. I watched, I think it was last night at 3 o'clock in the morning or something when I couldn't sleep. I watched the British Baking Show, and I was astounded. Because, you know, I always tell people Yorkshire pudding is the easiest thing to make. And here are these 12 top bakers in the country. And only 2 or 3 of these 12 top bakers in the country, all of them British or living in the UK, only 3 of them could actually produce a decent, what looked to me like a decent Yorkshire pudding. I'm thinking, come on, you're letting the side down here. And it was very interesting, though, to see what people did. And now I have and she says, I have my foolproof Yorkshire pudding, way of making Yorkshire puddings. And we thought that we would do that one Sunday in the near future, maybe in a couple of weeks, maybe next weekend or the weekend after. I'll show you how to make Yorkshire puddings, and I'll give you the tips that she says, keeping her fingers crossed here, I give you the tips that produce the best, the tastiest and the most delicious Yorkshire puddings. And you know, when you say something and you set yourself up to fail, I'm going to tell you that my Yorkshire puddings never fail me. However, I should be making them live. Let's see if we can produce them. Or let's see, just because we're live, they fail. But anyway, they're my fail-safe Yorkshire puddings. If you want to know that, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be sending you, anyone who wants to join in or anybody who wants the recipe, we're going to be sending you the recipe. You're going to be making it with me. Now, come on, everybody. You can make it with me. As I make it, you make it too. How about that? Isn't that fun? And I'll show you perhaps 1 or 2 little things that you can maybe have to eat with your Yorkshire puddings. Of course, you can have anything you want to eat, but the typical roast beef in Yorkshire pudding is the British way to do things. So maybe I'll even cook a roast beef, or maybe not. My grandson, I make Yorkshire puddings for him, and his favourite is he likes ground beef. With a nice sauce. We sort of saute the onions and saute the beef and make a delicious sort of a little bit like a chili, but with no chili, and really, really delicious stuff. And he loves that, and he likes to spoon his meat, the mixture, pop them inside the Yorkshire puddings, and he just eats them like that, and he just loves them. And he likes to have 2 with the filling, and then he likes to eat 1 all by itself because he really loves them. So anyway, that's our Yorkshire pudding plan. But still in the kitchen, years and years and years ago, when Samantha was a little girl, and I would, you know, when you've got children, young children of your own, I think people do tend to cook more. I certainly used to cook more, there was a recipe for a steamed pudding. Now, I said this to a friend of mine the other day, Hey, we're having, I'm going to make a steam pudding if you want to come over and try it. She said, what's a steam pudding? All of these things, you think that everybody knows what a steam pudding is. And nobody knows what a steam pudding is. Anyway, so I'm going to be making one of those. I'm going to try it out because I've not made this recipe for so many years. But it was another one of those, totally fail-safe ones. You could make it, mix it, stick it you steam it. So you get a big saucepan and you sort of third or half fill it with water. You mix all the pudding, all the sponge, delicious sponge, with treacle or with blackcurrant jam or jelly or something like. Anyway, make all sorts of delicious things. I always used to make mine with lemon zest and lemon juice. We'll see how the mood takes me. I'm going to look in the cupboard tomorrow and just see what I've got to make it, and that's what it'll be. But we used to, put it in a heat-proof basin, cover it nice and tight, stick it in the boiling water in the pan, cook it for about an hour and a half or something, with the water sort of gently bubbling, so lots of steam. Keep the lid on, lots of steam. Most delicious pudding, and it's called the one with the lemon zest, and it's called a Primrose Pudding. Good old-fashioned Mrs. Beeton Primrose Pudding, which of course, being me, I've played about with. Now it's not called Primrose Pudding, now it's called Rosemary Pudding, because it's, we play around with these things, don't we? Let's get out of the kitchen. Chris, I've given you time. I've given everybody time to get some questions going or some comments or something like that, because after all, it is off the cuff. So you can ask me anything you like. We can do anything we like. We talk about anything we like. So how are we doing, Chris?
Well, one of our bottom brickers, Bridget, is on.
Hi, Bridget.
Saying hello, and that she's already signed up or is going to go to your spooky webinar.
Oh, good.
And the leaves in Michigan are starting to change now.
Oh, nice.
But it might be a good time to tell everybody about Cheryl, who's going to be on October 20th at 5 p.m. doing your bottom brick exercise.
When is it we're having Cheryl on?
October 20th. It's a Wednesday, 5 p.m. Eastern.
We're going to be busy in October, aren't we? Yes, well, we're going to be doing another bottom brick. We're going to be doing it sort of off the cuff style, because I won't know very much about whoever it is who's coming on here. It'll be, Cheryl will come on. She may have talked to Chris a little bit, because we do need volunteers. So she will have said maybe very briefly the reason why she wants to try this exercise. It is an absolutely brilliant exercise. If you are thinking, what is that bottom? What are they talking about? We have quite a few bottom brickers now. They're making a little club all of their own. If you want to know what the bottom brick exercise is, go to the website and you can see how we do it. And you can see the immense inspiration and the tremendous change that comes over somebody when they do this exercise, because all of a sudden it sort of shows you that it helps you to understand why you've always felt the way you do, or why you've always had this feeling of insecurity. Very often we blame ourselves. It's an absolutely brilliant exercise. It is not about pointing the finger and blaming other people for what happened to us. It's simply what we try to do, what I will try to do in this exercise, to help people to understand what impact was made on them when they were perhaps younger. What was that impact of a certain situation or a certain thing that happened that has, sort of made you nervous about something, or wary of something, or made you feel less sure about yourself. And it's an absolutely brilliant exercise. And I don't think that it's ever really failed, because, and I've been doing this for so many years with my students, and now we're doing it. We're asking for volunteers to do it live, and good old Cheryl. I don't know if Cheryl's here. I don't know if she's listening tonight to our off the cuff, but we're so excited that she's going to do this. We're going to try to do this with her, and we're keeping our fingers crossed that we get some good results. We will be doing this again. You'll see me in action with with an exercise, or trying to help people to understand through certain exercise and through a certain way of helping people to understand themselves how this works. And again, Chris, Wednesday, what time is it going to be?
5 p.m. Eastern Standard or New York time, October
Okay, so it's
20th.
5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. However, if you want to see it live going on, you can see it then, but it will go straight from there to YouTube. We don't cut anything out, we don't doctor it, it'll see it just exactly as we do it. So even if you can't make 5 o'clock in the afternoon, which a lot of people can't, we know, you can still see it on YouTube, and it will be recorded, but it will be live to record. So so watch for that. Okay, Chris.
So Bridget had continued saying, I am considering doing some TikTok videos on some of my thoughts on
Oh,
how we relate to the universe and God and each other as I get insights while studying at school, mostly on love and forgiveness. She's looking to see if you or Gray Eagle have any input because she's very nervous to put herself out there and don't want to mislead people.
well, I only found out about TikTok recently through my dentist, actually. I'm a little bit behind the times here because I've never heard of it until a few weeks ago. And I can't tell you if TikTok is any good or not. I know that people go on there, and there are a lot of people who do have these self-help programs and so on. So I'm not quite sure what it is that you're going to be doing, darling, but as long as you do it with, with truth and with honesty, and I think the thing to remember when, it's like me doing the bottom brick exercise, I can say to you, as far as I'm concerned, it's never failed. That doesn't necessarily mean that it won't fail. Just remember, I think when we're trying to help people, or we're trying to listen to people, or we're trying to, give helpful advice and insights, just remember that I think it's very important. We can be wrong. And as much as I know a lot of people think that I'm infallible, but I'm not at all. We are fallible. So when we're giving advice and help, just please be careful, because we don't know the answers to everything, and every single person is different. So, just my advice would be just be cautious. Remember that, and just be cautious. Chris.
Maggie said she's listening to you while she's driving.
Oh,
and is hoping that you might have either soothing or helpful words about her future. Hold on, it was more later. I'm worried about my finances right now. Can you see anything improving and getting better?
I do, Maggie. Try not to worry, my darling. It is all going to sort out. It's all going to be sorted out in the wash. It's easy for me to say that, but I actually know Maggie, so I can say to you, Maggie, because I know you, try not to worry too much, my darling, because things will turn around. Chris.
Ileana's on from, it looks like maybe Italy,
Hi.
saying, please help me. Can you see my father? And with a bunch of tears.
Oh, my darling, please don't, it's easy for me to say, don't cry. I get why you're upset. I get why you're crying. I do not see anything right at this moment in time. This is an off the cuff. We don't generally give messages in our off the cuff time. That doesn't mean it never happens. It just means that mostly it doesn't, but there are always exceptions. But my sweet, listen to me. I'm absolutely certain that your daddy is with you. I'm absolutely certain that he loves you. And I'm absolutely certain he can see the tears. As much as we miss our loved ones in the spirit world, and I'm sure you do, I know you do, we do also have to try to smile for them as well. So that's what I'm saying to you is, as much as you are heartbroken over this, my sweetheart, know that your daddy is safe and he is watching you and he is watching over you. So if you could give him a smile through your tears, that would be joyful for him. Okay, Chris.
Kitty's got a two-part question. She wants to know if this is a new show and what are the ingredients in your Yorkshire pudding?
Hi, hi, Kitty. No, it's not a new show. We do off the cuff. We've been doing off the cuff for quite a while, actually. For but we haven't done much of it in the summertime because well, it's summer and I've been away and I've been playing with my grandson most of the time. So although we have done one or two off the cuffs, we did quite a few during the month of May. We've done quite a few, haven't we, Chris, throughout the year?
Yeah.
So no, it isn't a new show. Ingredients off of the top of my head here. Let me think. 4 ounces of flour, either plain or all-purpose flour. We don't get all-purpose flour in England, but we do get plain flour. So 4 ounces of what did I just say? Plain or all-purpose flour. A good pinch of salt stirred into the flour. Let me see what else. You need 3 eggs and you need 8 ounces of milk. If you want to doctor it up a little bit, some people put a little tiny bit of mustard powder in there. Some people put curry powder in there. You can put in your batter, whatever you like. But if you're going to be wanting your Yorkshire puddings to rise, my advice is make all the good stuff, the savoury stuff, into the sauce. And I haven't decided yet which sauce I'm going to make to have with the Yorkshire puddings. We might just make a good old-fashioned chili sauce, or maybe we'll just make I don't know, a bolognese or something. We'll make it nice and easy. Anyway, so but the Yorkshire puddings are very, very plain, very simple. 4 ingredients: flour, salt, milk, and eggs. And the eggs, I like to use 3 large or extra large eggs. If you only have medium or small eggs, then just add another egg. So it's very simple, very easy. And if you want to join me, I'll show you exactly how to make it. But there are 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 little tips, maybe 4 actually, little tips that ensure that your Yorkshire pudding is going to rise up. Because we want to rise up, don't we, Chris? When we're cooking, we want to rise up and have fun. And there's a few little tips that people don't always know about Yorkshire puddings. But if you join me on my cooking show, and we'll let you know when it's going to be. I promise you we'll let you know well in advance of time. Have all your ingredients ready, and you can cook with me. Just don't tell me that it didn't work out for you, because if it doesn't work out for you, it's because you didn't follow my instructions to the letter. And you've got to follow the instructions to the letter. Yorkshire pudding is something that everybody in England knows. Well, no, I'm gonna say that Yorkshire pudding is something that everybody has eaten at some point. It's generally eaten on a Sunday for Sunday lunch, and it's a very, very British thing. So I'm going to show you the no-fail way to make Yorkshire puddings. And it'll just serve me right, won't it, when I'm doing it live. If they come out, they're all flat as a pancake. I should be so livid with myself. But also, we shall laugh about it as well. So keeping my fingers crossed, the fail-safe way. Chris?
Well, your fellow Brit, Wendy's on, and she wrote in Toad in the Hole.
Toad in the Hole is one of my favorites. But Wendy, you've got to have British sausage if you're going to make a good toad in the hole. You can't, in my opinion, this is only my opinion, you cannot have Italian sausage or Russian sausage, kielbasa. You can't have, Greek sausage. It's got to be, to get that flavor right, it's got to be toad in the hole. And there is a great British shop in New York City, and they do actually ship, and they do ship and deliver. And when I go to New York, I'll often go down to this shop and get £10. Yes, I did say £10 of English sausage, because it's the best. And we make our toad in the hole. And Samantha loves toad in the hole. Anyway, Chris, you're all wondering, aren't you? What is toad in the hole?
Well, and she also wrote, ooh, tomato sausage. I've not heard that term.
No, well, that's Wendy's preference. You can use anything you like, but the true traditional, which I'm going to show you, the true traditional toad in the hole would be English sausage, sage sausage, or some really delicious pork or beef sausage, but English style. Keep going, Chris.
Sandra says, I've never had them and I can't wait to make them with you.
Well, great. Once you've had them, you'll want to make them. You'll find them so easy. And you can actually eat them with anything. And you can eat them with savoury, and you can eat them with sweet. And in Yorkshire puddings, in Yorkshire where they traditionally were made, a lot of people would have them, a Yorkshire pudding, as an appetizer, just on its own with a little bit of gravy on it. A lot of people would have it with the meal, on the meal, which is what we used to do in my household. And absolutely fantastic to have, especially if there's Yorkshire pudding left over and you've got lots of kids or lots of people and you just want to fill people up, because really it's good stuff to fill you up with. A little bit of nice jam on it, or there's some powdered sugar, icing sugar on it, or just to make it a little bit sweet. I mean, there are lots of different ways to eat Yorkshire pudding, and once you've done them, once you see how easy they are, bingo. You do need, however, a good whisk. Get ready for that. So if you have a whisk, or you need a strong arm. I've got one of those whisks you pump up and down. So you could hot foot to to Amazon if you know what I'm talking about. And if you want to know which whisk I use, email me. We'll send you the info. They're not expensive, these things. Just you do need either a really good strong arm to whisk, or one of those down things. Anyway, Chris, go ahead.
All right. Clara's writing saying she needs help in trying to understand if this would be for a bottom brick exercise or better for a consultation.
Okay.
Because she has a repeating theme that she especially notices with her husband. So when she starts talking about vacation, going away, work, her husband gets very anxious or frustrated, almost like an uncontrollable phobia. So she's too nervous to tell him about any trip that's coming up. She senses that he may be unconsciously worried that she's not going to return. So looking for some advice from you.
Well, okay, so I think that if you wanted to do the bottom brick, it would be your husband, or you would have to sit with your husband. It's in order to help your husband, if he has the phobia, he's the one who needs to do the bottom brick exercise. And I do think that it would help him, because we're talking here about a theme of abandonment. And so I think your husband, I'm only going on what you tell me, but I think, the issue is much more about him having been abandoned at some point, and could be when he was a boy. In fact, I'm listening to Grey Eagle here as I'm saying this to you. So I think as a boy, he may have had an issue of being abandoned or feeling abandoned. And so, as we would be doing the bottom brick with him, it would be him that we would need to talk to. I think the bottom brick exercise would be very good for him. He may not want to do it publicly. We do this exercise privately. Unfortunately, if you do it publicly, we won't charge. But unfortunately, if you did want to do the bottom brick exercise, we would have to charge you because, well, that's because I have to make money the same as everybody else. If he would be prepared to volunteer and open up to us, that would make a perfect bottom brick exercise and it wouldn't cost you anything, but not your choice to make, his choice to make. But I think it's he has abandonment issues, which sound perfect to me as a bottom brick exercise. I think it would really help him. Also, I mean, you did ask about a consultation, and if he would prefer to do it privately, we could certainly do that too. The choice is yours. I do feel though that I feel very strongly that I'm right about this, and I think that it would be very helpful to him to first of all to fully understand where it comes from, how it made him feel, how he has reacted to the issues that he has when he was growing up, and how he has now got that anxiety or that anxiousness about abandonment. So I think that's where we're at there. I don't know. I hope that's helpful to you. Chris.
Desiree says, hello, Rosemary.
Hi, darling.
I absolutely love you and can't thank you enough for putting your story out to the universe with the eagle and the rose. We have similar life past issues, good and bad, minus gray eagle.
Well, thank you, darling, so much for sharing that. I hope that you have come to terms with who you are, and I hope you value who you are, because you really should be valuing who you are. We all of us as children, we all of us have something that happens to us. Even those who have absolutely fantastic parents and wonderful lives and all the rest of it, we still have those hang-ups, things that happen to us, either a teacher or a relative or something going on there. I really hope that you had when you were growing up a lot of support, and if not, I hope you have that support now, and you certainly have mine. Chris.
I have no more questions, Rosemary.
That's it. Oh, are we done then?
That's just about the hour anyway.
Oh, is it? Oh,
yeah.
Actually, we've only been on for about half an hour, but that's fine. If we're done with the questions, we're going to give people just a few more minutes. If you want us to keep going, come on, get on with it, because we're just going to give you a few more minutes to either make comments or questions or anything like that. Please feel free to do so. Chris, I'm going to put you on the spot because we've been talking cooking. So when you come to my house, you better give a good answer here. When you come to my house, or when you've had dinner here, if you were coming and you knew you were coming, as a lot of my friends do, and certainly my daughter does, when my daughter's coming, she makes a list of all the things I have to cook for her while she's here. If she's only coming for a few days, it can get a bit tricky because her list is quite long. But if you had a favorite, Chris, that you would like me to cook just for you, what is your favorite that that you might look forward to?
Well, I've got two favorites. One is your fish that you have with the mayo and cheese and all that.
Yeah.
I think it's cod.
Baked cod or baked haddock. But very often with cod, yeah.
And then especially now, since it's the fall season, I love your beef stew.
Oh,
my God, it's to melt in your mouth.
Yes. I don't often make beef stew because when you make a stew, you sort of, I suppose, I like to make a big pot of it, and and it's nice, especially on cold winter nights. And of course, for you guys in the north, the northeast, and so on, you're looking for a really, really great recipe for a beef stew. And again, you know, if you want any of those recipes, the beef stew is delicious, isn't it though, Chris? Really, really, really delicious.
Well, you had your little secret ingredient that you put in there, which was different than mine. And I tend to, when I make my own, make a little bit more veggies to it than you do. But I I would almost say I enjoy yours more.
Well, good. I'm glad. Well, you know, I actually, my beef stew, a lot of people put in parsnips and carrots and onions, and a lot of people put in all sorts of beans and such. A stew, a proper beef stew, you actually should only be using root vegetables. Root vegetables are carrots and parsnips and turnips and potatoes and so on. So you know, a true stew is using root vegetables, which of course are out and ready in the fall. But I suppose my stew is sort of a cross between a stroganoff and what uh, a beef bourguignon or something like that. So not so many vegetables. I do put a few in, but not so many. So I can understand, Chris, why you're saying yours has more, but I tend to put in less because I love the flavor of beef and I love the flavor of beef gravy. And would you like to know what my little secret ingredient is, everybody? It's really very simple. And every time my daughter makes some sort of a stew or something, I'll say to her, balsamic vinegar. You just need to put some of that in because it helps to break down the beef and make it more tender. Not a bottle of it, you know, just a little drizzle here and there. Was that the secret ingredient you're thinking of, Chris?
Yes, it was. And that's why I say when I started out, it's the beef is literally, it can melt in your mouth. So you
Yeah.
don't get that gristle or toughness or whatever. It's just,
No.
oh, so good.
It when you put your fork into it, it just breaks. It's delicious. Any more comments or questions? Because I
You've got a
haven't had
couple
dinner
more.
yet, and I'm getting really, really hungry.
Now that we're talking about food.
I know.
Well, Desiree's asking, am I going to own the house I'm in now? It's been offered to me to buy it and I want it. Um, I just haven't gotten my paperwork together and I'm wondering what's stopping me.
Well, if in doubt, take a pause. If it's been offered to you, it may well be that you might get it at a better price if you make a counter offer. It may be that you've not paid attention to all of the expenses that come with owning a house, buying a house. Just step back. Don't be afraid. If it's meant to be yours, it will be yours. You know, people often worry, you know, if I don't make an offer, somebody else is going to steal it. But I firmly believe, and I've had proof of this over and over again, I firmly believe that houses, they're going to think I'm weird when I say this to you all, but houses literally have a name on them. So if this is your house and your name is on this house, this is the house you're meant to have. If you're not meant to have it, you won't, no matter what you do, no matter how long you take to decide, it won't be yours. So if it is meant to be yours, houses have names on. Does your house have your name on it? I'd get cracking on the paperwork if I were you and see what you can do with that. But don't panic. Take your time about it and maybe go back and say, could we possibly lower the price? They can come back and say no. So you pay whatever you want. Or they can come back and say, okay, we can lower it this much. It doesn't hurt to ask. The worst thing they can say is no. The best thing they can say is okay. So I believe that houses have names on them. I believe that the house I'm in now had my name on it. Absolutely. Every house that I've ever owned has had my name on it for one reason or another. Chris.
Kitty says the bottom brick exercise is an eye opener. I found myself in denial all throughout class, but my ending was good.
Oh, Kitty, I do miss you. Well, I'm glad that the ending was good. Keep going, Chris. Anything else?
Hope's asking, when will I see improvement in my health, please?
Are you on our healing list, my darling? Because if you're not, can you email Chris, Kris, at rosemaryaltea.com. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your health problems. We're definitely going to put you on our healing list. And, there are lots of things that you can do to improve your health and to feel better about what's going on with yourself. So email us and tell us all about yourself. Chris.
Cheryl wants to know, when or how did you learn to cook?
Cheryl, you don't have my cookbook, do you? Because in my cookbook, yes, everybody, I have a cookbook. If I'd known we were going to be talking about cooking today, I would have had it out to show you all. But
I did put the link in the comments, though, Rosemary, so they can find it.
Oh, okay. Okay. At the beginning of the book, I describe exactly how I learned to cook. Now I'm going to fool you all now, right? When I first got married, or even before I got married, I went to the bookstore and I wanted, I was looking for the best book I could possibly find, cooking book, not knowing what I was looking at, not knowing what I was looking for. And I came across Mrs. Beeton. Oh gosh, that book is so old. Anyway, so the problem with Mrs. Beeton was, it would, you might have a recipe for stew would be 3 pounds of best stewing steak, and I was lucky if I could order 1 pound of ground beef or mincemeat. So the prices were extraordinary. I couldn't possibly afford to make most of the stuff that was in the book, so I improvised. And the more I experimented and the more I improvised, the better results I had. I would say that what taught me to cook, and I'm a reasonable. Is it awful if I say I'm a good cook, Chris?
No, that would be the truth.
Okay, so I'm, a pretty good cook, and I think I learned to cook because I literally had no money. When I was a housewife, and I was very sick at the time, very ill at the time, and sort of, so we had very little money. My husband went to work, but I was too ill to work. In our neighborhood was a really lovely neighborhood. All the people in the neighborhood, new houses and new couples, and who knew when we bought the house that I was going to end up being really sick. But anyway, I think it was every Tuesday or every Wednesday morning, the butcher's van would come round, and all of the housewives, all of the women who were home with their children, they all sort of would go to the butcher's, and there'd be a big long line sort of around the butcher's van.
No, we cannot hear you right now, Rosemary. You might have to go out and come back in. There we go, folks. Usually it happens, somebody rings in, most likely at this time of the day, it's her grandson. So she'll log out and then she'll log back in here in a minute. But we wanted to thank you all for joining us tonight in this off the cuff.
Are you
So
there?
here there we go. You're back, Rosemary.
Okay. So back with the butcher's story. All of the housewives taking care of their children. They would all be around the butcher's van. Have we lost everybody, or
no? Everyone's still here.
Still on. Okay. And I would wait. I would hang back because, and I would always make sure that I was the last one in the line. And the people would be ordering, 2 nice steaks, or they would be ordering the best stewing steak, or they would be ordering really delicious pork chops, whatever it was anyway. And everybody in the neighborhood would be buying good meat. And then I would wait until the very, very last, when all the women had gone, because I had pride, but I had no money. So when it was my turn, the butcher got to know me very well, and I would say, can I have two thin slices of spam, or can I have a quarter pound of ground beef, or can I? And my order was always very limited. And I think the butcher was quite nice to me, would always give me sort of a little bit extra and not charge me. I think he knew how poor we were at the time. But I would bring this stuff home, and I would make something really good from it, because it was trial and error. I used to make the best meat pie with a shilling can. The shilling is like 12 pennies. A shilling can of it. They called it Irish stew, which was all vegetables, little tiny vegetables chopped up, with little tiny bits of ground beef in there here and there. And I would make it into a pie. And the first day I made it, we would have it hot with mashed potatoes. And the next day we'd have it cold with the fries, with chips, with French fries. I would be innovative. This is how I learned to cook. Isn't this how we all learn to do things? It's trial and error, and we try, and luckily I've got great taste buds, so it worked out for me. Do we have any other questions, Chris?
We have one more, last one from Josephine.
Okay. Hi, Josephine.
Before I fell and broke my leg, I felt something wasn't right and something bad was about to happen.
Oh, Josephine.
Almost to the point of paranoia. Does Grey Eagle see why I felt that way?
Well, I think, Josephine, we all have those sort of insights, those little bits of sixth sense. I think we all, and it's a question of sort of paying attention. I know that I think you fell at around the same time that I fell, and I fractured my foot. I had no feeling of anything about to happen at all. But I think that when you have these feelings, we should pay attention to them, because I really, really think that when we pay attention to our intuition, it works out for us. Anything else, Chris?
No, that's it for the evening.
So, well, thank you, Chris, for joining us. I'd like to say thank you to Grey Eagle. I'd like to say thank you to you, Chris, for our off the cuff. Thank you all for joining us. I'm sorry. Am I sorry it's been more about cooking? No, it's been a mix of stuff. And we'll let you know when I'm making the Yorkshire puddings. And I will also let you all know how my Primrose Pudding turns out tomorrow. I may even share a picture with you. You never know what I'm going to do. Anyway, my darlings, we shall be back here again tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, with our show tomorrow morning. The Spirit World Sees All, and we'll be taking more questions, and we'll be answering more of your questions and your queries. So that's that tomorrow morning. And of course on Saturday we shall be doing our story time, and we may even do another off the cuff between now and Saturday. You just never know when we're going to pop in here and do this all for you, because we just have a lot of fun with it, a really, really lovely lot of fun with it. So join us whenever you see us flash onto your screen. Until I see you again, everybody, remember, go to our website, rosemaryaltea.com. If you're interested in joining us for spooky stuff, I promise it's not going to be terrifying. I'll explain all on Friday, the 29th of October, with our spooky story time. And we're going to be having a lot of fun with that. So until I see you all again, please, everybody, have a very, very blessed rest of the day. Bye-bye.